Happy holidays. It's right in between Christmas and New Year's, so it's time to rest and get ready for the gallop of 2026. This is the old guy at the end of the street for one last video on data centers and my thoughts on that. And I will then take a break, I think, from this line of videos and go back to my travel logs, what's happening in Richmond, where are the places that you can go to visit, make you smile in the Richmond and greater Richmond area. Today I wanted to talk to you about the Board of Supervisors and data centers and the technology overlay district and that process. On one of my videos from, I don't know, weeks ago, days ago, I don't remember, they're kind of all running together. I said this could be a Netflix show, and maybe it will be someday, and I'm still thinking that that's the way things are going, that's possible. But I wanted to bring up a couple of things. One was an email from October, which has since been discussed, and supposedly the information was taken wrong. And so it was an article on a website called Neighbors for Change, and it's a three-county area: Henrico, Goochland, Hanover. And it was about an email that was supposedly going around between 4 of the 5 Board of Supervisors, and in response to a FOIA request, District 5 Supervisor Jonathan Lyle shared an email that he'd sent to the other board members concerning the entire 900 acres that was being considered for the TOD. And he said that he discovered that there was in fact a contract already in existence between the landowners and the companies that manage or develop data centers. And he goes on to claim that other supervisors had received non-NDA information about the proposal, which they didn't share with Jonathan Lyle. Now, I think, I'm going to go back and check on this, but I think that he later took that back and said, no, they weren't withholding stuff from him. It was just a misinterpretation or something. But the bottom line is that he believes he discovered that in a non-NDA environment, they had discussed these contracts with the data centers and owners, and the four out of the 5 Board of Supervisors, and Jonathan Lyle was left out of those conversations. But again, I've heard that he's retracted that statement. Now, the data centers, I don't know if it's the same ones, but in the FOIA, I discovered information, I think I mentioned it before, that there was a piece of information that indicated that Tract, a company called Tract from Denver, Colorado, that develops data centers, was involved, and they're probably the source of, they could be the source of the contract. But in the meantime, there's been a lot of other stuff going on, and one of them was Barry Moore, who is a community leader in a neighborhood not too far from us, in a different county voting district, but in the same eastern part of the county that's going to be under the TOD. Barry Moore supposedly contacted Tom Winfrey, the chairman of the Board of Supervisors, in early November to talk to him about this. In early November, that is before the Board of Supervisors voted on the TOD proposal. And it's kind of shocking what Barry Moore has alleged. Now, Barry Moore is not new to the county. He's been a respected citizen, a respected community leader, business leader. He was a friend of the chairman. The chairman was a mentor to him, I guess, in some cases. But he reported a letter that he wrote to the Board of Supervisors. And I'm going to let the letter speak for itself. Maybe some of you have read it on the Facebook page. So I think it's worth reading. Hello. I'm writing to formally report and document a serious and disturbing incident involving Chairman Tom Winfrey that occurred during a phone call with me on November 3rd, 2025. My name is Barry Moore, and I'm a resident of Goochland County. It is important context for the county to understand that Chairman Winfrey and I had a personal relationship for approximately 15 years prior to this incident. During that time, I considered him a friend, a mentor, and someone I trusted deeply. I believed he possessed strong character, sound judgment, and a genuine concern for people and for this county. That history is precisely why this interaction was so alarming. The sudden and extreme shift in his tone and behavior during a single conversation raises serious questions about what is driving this conduct and how it may manifest in other situations involving residents, county employees, or colleagues who may not feel comfortable speaking up. I contacted Chairman Winfrey to discuss concerns related to the upcoming vote on the Technology Overlay District and the proposed data center development. At the outset of the call, the conversation was civil. I expressed my hope that the board would consider a deferral or vote early in the evening to allow more time to evaluate standards for future development. I also shared that I had discouraged others from protesting Eli Lilly, explaining that I believe the county needs responsible economic development in West Creek and that Eli Lilly is an important partner. I referenced an example from my professional experience where a technology company operating at a higher standard grew responsibly and now employs hundreds across multiple states, suggesting that a deferral could allow the county to ensure future data center projects meet similar or higher standards. At this point, Chairman Winfrey abruptly changed his tone and became hostile and aggressive. He stated that I, quote, make no sense, end quote, at public meetings, and that I, quote, don't know what I'm talking about, end quote. He accused me of making improper accusations against the Board of Supervisors and county staff and characterized my public comments as disrespectful. He challenged why the board should ever grant a deferral, stating that residents like me would simply continue, quote, digging up things, end quote, to force the outcome we want. Most concerning, Chairman Winfrey told me that if I, in any way, attempted to stop Eli Lilly, I would be sued, quote, like I could not imagine, end quote. He further stated that I would be hurt, quote, like I never imagined, end quote. These statements were made in a threatening manner and carried a clear intent to intimidate me into silence regarding a public policy issue. He then escalated further by attacking my professional role, stating that I should go to work at the BBB before I put it out of business. This comment was unrelated to the issue at hand and was clearly intended as a personal insult and an attempt to demean and discredit me. I told Chairman Winfrey that I was shocked by what he was saying, particularly given our long-standing relationship and the trust I had placed in him over many years. The conversation had become so hostile and inappropriate that I ended the call. When we hung up, I was in shock. I shared the details of the conversation immediately with others who were equally stunned that an elected official would speak to a resident in this manner. Based on this experience, I am deeply concerned about how this behavior translates into Chairman Winfrey's role as a leader representing the interests of the county, fellow board members, county employees, and residents. If this level of anger and intimidation can be directed at someone with whom he had a long-standing relationship, it raises serious concerns about how others may be treated, particularly those who are less connected or more vulnerable. It is reasonable to expect that others may have had similar interactions, but have been reluctant or afraid to come forward. Once this matter becomes public, it is possible that additional accounts may surface. At no point did I threaten Eli Lilly, oppose its presence in Goochland County, or act in a manner inconsistent with respectful civic engagement. I was exercising my right as a resident to speak openly about a major land use decision that will affect homes, health, infrastructure, and the county's long-term future. As he is aware of, my wife deals with a lung disease 24 hours per day, and diesel fuel could kill her. No resident of Goochland County should ever be spoken to in this manner by an elected official, let alone the chairman of the Board of Supervisors. Threatening litigation, disparaging a resident's character and livelihood, and attempting to intimidate someone into stopping public commentary is far outside the scope of an elected official's authority and responsibilities. Based on this interaction, I am requesting a formal written response from the Board of Supervisors, the county administrator, and the county attorney addressing the following. What actions will be taken to address Chairman Winfrey's conduct toward a county resident? Whether his behavior raises ethical concerns that should have been evaluated prior to his participation and vote on November 6th. Should the vote and conversation be taken over without this board member? That was done on November 6th. Whether threatening a resident with lawsuits and attempting to silence public participation violates county standards, ethical obligations, or the oath of office. Whether this conduct will result in any corrective action, formal review, or censure. Whether the county considers Chairman Winfrey's statements toward a resident to be intimidating, abusive, or otherwise unbecoming an elected official. What statement the county is prepared to provide to me and to the media, if requested, explaining how this matter is being handled. This interaction demonstrates a troubling level of hostility towards residents who raise concerns and create serious doubt about Chairman Winfrey's ability to act impartially when evaluating public input related to the Technology Overlay District and future data center development. This matter will be reviewed by others outside of Goochland County, including state-level authorities. It is essential that the county demonstrate it takes allegations of intimidation and abuse of authority by an elected official seriously and responds in a transparent and accountable manner. I request a written response no later than December 22nd, 2025. Thank you for your prompt attention to this matter. And it's signed Barry Moore. And then he provides the notes that he apparently took during the conversation that he had with Chairman Winfrey. This is all kind of shocking, I guess, but perhaps not inconsistent with the conduct of this whole process. We've got to hurry, we've got to do stuff quickly. With the Board of Supervisors seemingly inconsistent action process. I shouldn't say that. They've been relatively consistent. They only pay attention to when they have a personal interest in it. For instance, the high life or high field development that is up in northern part of the county in the eastern side, where all the residents, the fire marshal, the planning commission, everybody said, we don't want this. We think it's unsafe. It's inappropriate right now for the county to do this. The Board of Supervisors, led by Chairman Winfrey at the time, voted 3-2 in favor of that because the people who were asking were part of the West Creek group. And Chairman Winfrey, as I understand it, is still asking to put a gun range right next to residents, even though he says he will recuse himself from the vote. I'm not sure that that makes a big enough difference. Not sure. I know that this sounds like an ethics violation, and I'm not sure that the letter to the Board of Supervisors complies with a formal complaint, but it gets real close, and the county attorney is probably considering it as a complaint about an ethics violation. And unless he recorded the conversation, which he could have in Virginia, in a two-party conversation or a multi-party conversation, it only takes one consenting party to record. So he might have recorded the conversation. But if he didn't, then it's going to end up being a he said, she said kind of discussion, and that would be no action if you can't prove the allegation. However, it's not a good look. It's just not a good look, and I think it's not a good time to proceed with the TOD. Although I know the West Creek, the big three landowners, and tract development, they want to press forward ahead, and we're just the little folks out here. Even though that there's a lawsuit that many people in the community are, thank God, contributing to, which may slow them down. We're just a mosquito to them. You know, they're not. That's barely going to raise their level of interest. I hope that Eli Lilly is not feeling at risk for this. I don't know what the Lilly risk might be. There's a train of thought or logic that was brought up to me last week that Eli Lilly needs the TOD because they're going to build a building at about 115, 120 feet high, which is 40 feet higher than the current M1 zoning allows, and the TOD then does allow it. If they don't do the TOD, or if the TOD is put on hold, then Eli Lilly is going to have to do a CUP, and the CUP is expensive. There'll be a lot of processes, and that cost might be more than they want to pay. I think at this point, though, you know, it's the infrastructure is pretty much there. There's some build out that needs to be done with power and stuff, but even if they have to do a CUP, I think it's a lot cheaper than going someplace else. Anyway, that's interesting news. Interesting news. I'm hoping that you're following. There's a lot of websites, Facebook pages, and all talking about the TOD, the Board of Supervisors in Goochland County, the Tri-County. Actually, it's Goochland, Henrico, Hanover, probably someday Powhatan too, and Chesterfield. I mean, what makes the supervisors want to believe that we all want to live in the middle of a data center alley? We don't. There's a lot of sites out there for information, so please try and take a look, and make a comment on the video, make a comment on a Facebook page, wherever you are. But write your supervisor, write your local, your state representative, for your district. You know, ours is newly elected May Nivar, and let her know. Write the governor. Let her know what you want to do. And if you can, please go to the website that I'm going to list someplace here, or hit the QR code at the end to donate to help us defend this. If we can make this step, it's really going to be helpful. So that's all for now. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned.